there's still a group of ladies over on that television show that I think is going to have to get canceled very soon, and I'm expecting this year will be the year, and that's The View. So, they're having this big go around about Carrie Underwood. Carrie Underwood's going to be singing at the inauguration, which is phenomenal. Like, I've always loved her. I think this is great that she's singing at the inauguration. Too many artists would be like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that because it's Donald Trump. I can't sing because it's Donald Trump. Maren Morris, we talked about this yesterday. You can go see that clip. We posted it last night. If you don't know who she is, because a lot of you didn't, but she was climbing the country chart. She had that good song named Rich, and then there was one called My Church. So she was doing really, really well in country, but she had to get out of country because of Trump. There were too many Trump supporters, too many MAGA types in the country music world. Well, Carrie Underwood stayed in country. She's done some crossover too, but she's never made this big stink about it. She's actually never really, gotten into politics before. But the Trump White House asked her if she would come and sing an inauguration, and guess what she said? Yes, she would be honored. I love our country, and I'm honored to be asked to sing at the inauguration and to be a small part of this historic event, was her comment. Well, Joy Behar is having a complete meltdown on The View about this. Let's take a listen.
I hope we're moving beyond the era of politics where we want to cancel people's livelihoods because we don't like their politics. And whether it was the Dixie Chicks for criticizing George Bush, didn't agree with it then, and Carrie Underwood, if you have a problem, you register your complaint by not downloading her songs and not going to her shows. Right. But I also think from a business standpoint, it's not a bad decision for Carrie Underwood. 75 million people voted for Trump. Artists tend to skew left-leaning, so she's overnight going to become an icon of MAGA and the American right. She's probably going to make a lot of money off of it. So I get why she did it.
I say.
I mean, right? It is country music. I think
I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't do it, even though I can't sing.
You would not sing?
No, I would not. I would not normalize him. And she says, I love our country. How do you love your country and support and normalize somebody who was a convicted felon who really wants to destroy the country, in my opinion? I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon, which I can say now every day.
A lot of my family voted for Trump. They love the country and vote for him. I think that people make these decisions for a lot of reasons.
Okay, fine.
You do what you do.
So now Whoopi's about to get in on this, but I just want to weigh in on this for 1 second. So Joy Behar, clearly having a severe case of TDS, delighted that she can say, she had to send a thank you note to Judge Merchan that she can say convicted felon. And she's like, how can you, Carrie Underwood, your country, this, that, and the other. I mean, for goodness sakes, have some respect. Would you have some respect for the office of the presidency of the United States of America, Joy Behar? You're an American still, aren't you, right? I mean, did I tell you guys the story about my grandmother? She was a lifelong Democrat, and we had a home growing up. I was a lucky kid in Kennebunk Beach, which was on the peninsula that was just off of the peninsula that the Bushes had theirs. So, they had the whole peninsula. We had a whole bunch of houses on ours. But one day, George Bush Sr. was going by on his boat. He was actually picking one of my neighbors up, believe it or not, on his boat. So he's pulling up to my neighbor's dock, and he goes by, and he's out there, and he's waving. And my grandmother, who could barely stand because she had a really bad leg, and really didn't like George Bush, right? Okay, she was a complete, total Democrat through and through. She could barely stand, and she got up out of that chair, and she put a big smile, and she had a huge wave. And I get chills just thinking about this story right now, because I said, Graham, but he's a Republican. And she looks at me, and I was a kid, and I'll never forget this, and she said, Trish, he's the president. It brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it. He's the president. And we always honor our presidents because presidents matter much more than parties. And so I think about that, and I think about the craziness that we have been through as a country over the last 4 years, and how you have the likes of that other Joy on MSNBC saying, don't go to Thanksgiving, don't go to Christmas. Those people they supported Trump, you can't be friends with them. The way that these rabid lefties have tried to actually take out half the population, 75 million people that voted for Donald Trump. And I think about my grandmother and how, those weren't the values I was raised with. Those weren't the values I don't think most people were raised with. And I think that we've gotten to a point in this country where we need to make sure that we are so far away from the Joy Behars of the world saying disgusting stuff like that. And we need to think more about people like my grandmother, Margaret Cunningham, who would stand up for a president because he is the president. So Carrie Underwood is doing the right thing, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what her politics are. I'm guessing she's conservative. She's a country girl, right? But regardless, it doesn't matter left or right. You have a chance to sing at the inauguration for the president of the United States of America, period. It doesn't matter what party he is. Have some respect for your country. Joy Behar and the rest of you that are trying to still cancel half the nation out because of your ridiculous TDS. Unbelievable. But I'll tell you this. Whoopi Goldberg seen the handwriting on the wall. Suddenly she's getting all libertarian on us. Really? I mean, I think the reality here is that Whoopi Goldberg knows her job is on the line. After all, the new head of the FCC, Brendan Carr, he sent Bob Iger, that would be the CEO of Disney, her boss, because Disney owns ABC News, ABC, which produces The View, a letter saying, it's really bad, this lack of trust that Americans have in news now. So she's got a little bit of a precarious situation, and so she decided to weigh in all this, the Carrie Underwood thing. And typically, what would you think she would say? You'd think she'd say exactly the same kind of disgusting rhetoric that Joy Behar said. But no. Suddenly, she's all for freedom. This is very interesting. I mean, look, I'll take it, right? But I also see through it. I know what this is. Let's listen and watch.
I hope we're moving beyond the era of politics where we want to cancel people's livelihoods because we don't.
I'm going to fast forward this through to where Joy says her nasty stuff and Whoopi jumps in.
I love our country. How do you love your country and support and normalize somebody who was a convicted felon who really wants to destroy the country, in my opinion? I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon, which I can say now every day.
A lot of my family voted for Trump. They love the country and vote for him. I think that people make these decisions for a lot of reasons.
Okay, fine.
You do what you do. Listen, it's like, people do what they do for whatever reasons. Mm-hmm. It's like Joe and Mika. Yeah. They did what they did. They felt that's what they needed to do, and I got to stand behind them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I stand behind her no, not or not, because if I believe I have the right to make up my mind to go perform someplace, I believe they have the same right.
Of course.
And so I have to, I have to support. Doesn't mean I'm particularly interested in what I won't be watching, but that's me.
Doesn't that surprise you? Just a little bit? I mean, why is she suddenly singing a different tune? I know why she's singing a different tune, because her job is on the line, okay? This is why she's suddenly willing to defend Mika and Joe, who, by the way, also have their jobs on the line. That's the reality, okay? Because the rest of the world is moving forward. You guys are stuck like dinosaurs in your TDS on steroids as everybody else moves forward, right? Consider this. Carrie Underwood's moving forward.